Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on August 14th, 2023, which just happens to be my birthday. I'm an old man, 1 year older today. And it also happens to be the first year anniversary of the birth of the Brick Something channel. So thank you all so much for coming today to kind of celebrate this milestone. As I've also sort of mentioned when outreaching for this, we hit 400 plus subscribers yesterday. It was yesterday morning. I didn't even realize until I was actually on Toy Connections and talking to Ken, and we're talking. I was saying, I'm about to hit 400, and he said, "Oh no, I just checked. You hit 400." So last I checked, it was over that, but it also bounces up and down. So I get it. You watch it and you're like, yeah, this guy sucks and I am subscribed. It happens, but still a milestone, right? And I appreciate every one of you who tunes in to kind of check out what I've got going on the channel. And also especially those of you who are like, yeah, I like this, I'm a subscribe. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. So I guess on the tip of, this being the anniversary, just sort of, I guess happy anniversary. Thank you for helping make the channel a thing. So yeah, with that, I'd like to go ahead and say hello to whoever is joining us today. All right, so let's see who's here. A good couple of the regular folks who thank you. Without you, there wouldn't be a channel, right? I'd be talking to the wind. Eldor, Master Versatile Toy Hunter, my co-host on Legion's Class, hosted over on the Ostradamus Toys channel. Always happy to have you here broadcasting and jumping in from Eternia. Nolan, chat, expert extraordinaire. I love hanging out with Nolan. I've been hanging out with Nolan a year plus, really. We'd see each other on the same streams, obviously interested in the same geeky stuff. What's going on? Thank you very much. I am having a great birthday despite having to work and, get back into that swing of things. Speaking moistly, thank you so much for joining me. Always good to have you. And absolutely, thank you so much. Payne's Toy Samples, Aaron, who has hosted me a couple of different times on his channel, who's come on to talk Star Wars and just sort of hang out. We've also spent a ton of time together over on Oz's channel, Saturday nights. Always awesome to see you here, my official licensed therapist. Duchess of Darkness, thank you so much. I am having a great birthday and having a great time sort of celebrating this first year anniversary, man. It's kind of an accomplishment. I stuck with something. So feel like I'm losing my voice already. Ray Black, how's it going? Thank you. Thank you for the emoji cake. Appreciate that. Always happy to see you here and on other streams, chatting. Yes, thank you for the congrats, Nolan. Skyfall, happy birthday. Thank you. Yes, I can't help it. I want to sing Adele every time I see your name. And Silver K, Kayla, who has been a guest, who has hung out with me for hours building Lego, talking Lego, nerding out on all sorts of stuff, getting to hang out in person. The person responsible for grabbing me one of these motherboards. Yes, I still haven't opened it, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the next things coming up on the channel. She went to SDCC. She shared her experience over on Toy Habits, and she brought home something. We got to hang out, we got to eat ramen, and just shoot the stuff. So good stuff. Greetings, my glorious children of the Crystal Temple of Joy. I love it. How's it going, Allison Troy? Allison, again, another homie, friend, someone I've seen in the chats, hung out with over in GDL every Sunday, over on Toy Habits and in the GDL Discord. Also a content creator and someone who I've actually interviewed because she does amazing customs, and I sat down with her couple of hours of just talking about her history with customs, toy history. And that's one of those things that I'm going to save again for the future of the channel because I'm still editing. Silver Cape, by the way, thank you. Oh, also is a fine content creator over at Geek the F Out with Johnny. She actually has a stream coming up to talk about Star Trek. Strange New Worlds. If you all haven't been following, the season finale was up. She's going to be talking about that in a little bit. And I'm not looking to be here too long today. I'm going to try my best to move through some stuff and just wanted to do something on the actual day. So here I am doing some quick news. Anyways, go check out Silver K, Geek the F Out, Shiny Plastic People. Chris, thank you so much. Chris, again, was one of those folks who jumped on the channel early on with me and did a couple of unboxings. He's actually one of those persons that sort of inspired me right around the same time to start this channel. I remember jumping on and seeing one of his lives doing some gunpla. Anyways, I need to get him back on the channel, man. It's just awesome. This is great. Thank you. Like, this is awesome. I got to have my real, my in-person birthday yesterday with my family. I got to see a bunch of friends today. I'm going to see some folks later. And now here I am with folks online. This is beautiful. Thanos, who was just on 2 days ago with me doing the news. Someone I've always seen in chats again, and hoping to have him back on the channel pretty regularly to talk news and all sorts of other toy stuff, toy photography, content creator himself. All right. Woot, woot, woot. Man, this is amazing. Thank you all so much for coming through. Yeah. Appreciate that sentiment. I too am glad I was born. All right. Let's see. Yes, we talked for hours and you're like, where the hell is it? Brick, it's coming. Yes, Allison is here. She does play several roles, including the McFarlane Report and the reminder that I need to shill for AWOC often. But she's also here to keep things under control. Did I get everybody? I did get everybody for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Again, without folks watching, I'm just talking to the wind, and that's just awkward. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the news. Just in keeping with the theme of talking about the channel and how it's evolved, I am going to do the news thing more regularly. I've done a couple episodes. People give me a lot of feedback. This person in particular, Thanos, was like, yo, when are you going to do it again? So I started doing it again, and I did the first one 2 days ago with him and Cobweb. I'm going to be doing these live, I think, at least every other week. I'm going to see if I can carve out some time, maybe to get to it close to weekly. I figure this will be also my opportunity to get more folks on here. So if you're in the chat right now, I've seen you regularly and you're interested, just let me know. I'm more than happy to have you on here and let's talk in person. I know we've been chatting, but hey, get on here. Let's talk about things you want to see, things that some ephemera you've seen throughout the week or 2 weeks, geek related, that you want to just sort of have a platform to kind of talk through or just, nerd out with other people about. So on that note, the way I'm doing these things, if you haven't seen it before, I usually will have a QR code that pops up, and that'll take you to a document that I've prepped with the ongoing links of every news episode that I do. You could even go back in there and scroll down. You'll be able to see the older ones. If you go there right now during the live stream, you won't see it. I was given some feedback, and folks were like, hey, I love the idea of being able to follow, but I want to check that stuff out after, just so that, we can also just watch and enjoy the stream and look at what you got going, and then maybe go back later to get some info. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And that also makes it possible for me to do after. So you're going to see a QR code, and it's going to look like this. Actually, it'll look like this. Yeah. And so you'll see the QR code down in the bottom right like that every now and then. So I just realized it's going to say PowerCon cover story because oops, but whatever, that's fine. And I'll pop that up every now and then. You can ignore the PowerCon because I'm not just talking about PowerCon today. I'm going to be talking about some other stuff, but I'll pop up the QR code every now and then. And the URL is also going to be flashing across the bottom, bit.ly/brick, capital B, something, capital S, and capital N.E.W.S. Again, for Needless Ephemera We Saw, I make no claims that this is all the news that's fit to print or anything like that. This is not super thorough. I am by no means a massive expert on this stuff. I'm just pointing out stuff that I saw and was like, hey, this is cool. Check it out. Hedgehog, super happy to see you, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being here. And Jonathan's another one who I need to come on here, right? And just let's talk toys, because we love a lot of the same toy lines. And so I'd love to just kind of sit down and talk toy and geek with him. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look. I wanted to spend some time today doing some quick day 2 and day 3 of PowerCon, because in our 3-hour stream, Cobweb and Thanos and I covered just like a fraction, and that was only day 1. Then day 2 came, then day 3, and all this news came. So again, not going to cover everything, but I want to show some things that, like, for whatever reason, I'm drawn to. So first off, I do want to credit Toy News International, toynewssi.com. So there's the website. If you're not familiar with their channel, I'll put that link, their YouTube channel, I'll put that link in the news links as well, because I watch him regularly for info. But I wanted to start here because I'm a huge Legacy fan of Sectars. Don't know who else in the chat was into Sectars. Man, creatures. If you know anything about me, I love creatures. I love anthropomorphized creatures. And what you're looking at is a bug lady. So Sectars was this toy line in the 80s, and the figures were about like 6-7 inches, a little over 6 inches. They, definitely were unique in that, right? They stood taller than my He-Man. They were way taller than my G.I. Joe and my vintage Star Wars. But more importantly, they came with steeds, right? Bugs, you'd put your hands in them, and I'm sure everyone sort of heard about these all the time. What I did not have was the playset like Alice and Troy. They had the massive Hive playset, which was one of those things that, like, no one was interested in helping me pay for that as a kid. But yeah, they made a bunch of figures back then, end of the line, and there's definitely been a hardcore following. So now N.E.W.S comes in and is like, hey, we're going to redo these figures. And they started with 2 figures announced, the main sort of hero protagonist, Dargon, and this character who you see on screen, Stellara. Allison never had her because Stellara was never made, never produced. So I will say, in this day and age, I think it's really cool that folks like N.E.W.S are going to go back and basically sort of finish these lines. Where I struggle a little bit with N.E.W.S approach, not a diss, just my critique, is that they're really, like, if you take a look at this body, this is not that different from the original toy line. So I get it. If you're that person who's like maybe looking to get some characters that you didn't have as a kid, like her, that will fit right in with your old ones, 100%, I get it. That's just kind of not my thing. I'm hoping when people reboot things in the 21st century, right? Because my birthday, I've spanned 2 centuries. That we kind of updated a little with modern technology, right? And modern engineering. So, I do kind of want to see a bicep cut. I'm that person. And it's not just bicep cut just for the sake of it, but I keep thinking like, well, what's new on this figure? And right now, this is new. The originals were just the elbows were locked in, right? And there's definitely some modern takes, but sculpting wise, pretty much the exact same level of detail. Like this sculpt could be literally with the original toy line. So it's still, it's looking good. It's a great looking toy. It's just maybe not what I was expecting. And here's just a quick shot of the two. You can pre-order them now. Again, you can even see here, if I took a quick glance, I wouldn't be able to tell these are new figures. They're pretty much straight up. There's like some new deco and Dargon, but so your mileage may vary. You might be like, hey, you know what, Brick? I'm totally into some old school redux of sectars. Hey, Nacel's here to please. So there you go. Let's go ahead and check out something different. Cobb, Thanos, and I barely got to talk Savage Crucible. And on day 2, they started putting different things out on the table, including this character, this prototype of this character who's new. I've seen some concept art similar to this guy. I don't think I actually saw this this actual character. Maybe I just missed it because, man, if you know anything about Savage Crucible, the concepts just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. They've got a team feeding us a steady diet of concepts for what could eventually become figures. This guy looks amazing, right? There was no shortage of diversity. Like this toy line is basically, we're going to make all sorts of races and creatures, male, female, warrior classes, battle type, whatever. They're all over it, like really filling in those fantasy ranks. And what I'm really looking forward to with this is the level of articulation that I've talked about before, but I'll move on. And the accessories. Check out all these little like manual bomb grenades. Cool stuff. Let me see. Gonna try some. If I disconnect, I disconnect. That'd be awkward. Let's try it. Oh, good. Still here. And then they showed a little bit more of painted samples. I don't believe this is a production figure yet, but this is a dwarf. We've seen some of these, right? So again, I just kind of wanted to show you the new stuff that sort of creeped onto the table day 2 that I missed. Yeah, so this is all old. That's all. Okay, moving on. Thanks to Geek Dad Life, Jay and Colleen. They showed this that I didn't even get to touch. And I'm surprised Thanos didn't yell at me. Why don't you yell at me, man? Because I know Thanos is huge into Legends of Dragonor. So they revealed Wave 2 and showed a bunch of those figures, but you and I didn't even get to talk about them. So check it out. They had their video. I'm not really going to go into the video, but again, I'll share you the link so that way you can go. Definitely just check out Geek Dad Live, give them the views, check out their website. But you can see from the image, new figures like this leafy dude looks amazing. These are all, again, if you're not familiar, in that sort of vintage Motu style, the pose that Mattel actually tried to copyright. Sucker. Just a cool, like Savage Crucible. Like they're not shy about trying to like give us all sorts of different looking characters, really give us some robust variety in our shelves. And these dragons, like these dragons, as someone pointed out the other night, these can work across lines, right? Despite the fact that these guys are a little shorter and squatter, if you're like on a 6-7 inch shelf, that dragon will be just fine, right? And sort of maybe like a smaller dragon creature. So Legends of Dragonor. And I'm about to move on, but I want to check in and see what folks are pointing out. So J Mac is pointing out that Savage Crucible character that I was showing was a goblin dwarf hybrid, which again is fantastic, right? I don't have that yet in my other fantasy toy lines, namely like say Mythic Legions. So kind of cool that Savage Crucible has given us some new things, some different things. Back to Legends of Dragonor, Nolan saying Formo is doing great stuff. Absolutely. The pedigree of the folks behind Formo, experienced toy designers working on other toy lines currently as well, in addition to Dragonor. So they're doing solid stuff. Yes, as Thanos points out, these specifically weren't on, but I was just kind of, I don't think we barely even mentioned Legends of Dragonor, so I felt kind of awkward about that after the fact. So, K-Dog, what's going on? Thank you so much for the birthday greetings, and thank you for coming through and jumping on. Thanos is definitely excited about Wave 2. Super excited. Yeah, man, it sounds like you're going to be complete on this line. That Moss Man, the leafy guy, is his favorite, but also is interested in the Witch Silhouette one. I don't believe I have that visible on the screen, and we'll likely do some army building of some cavemen. Yeah. Great stuff. And Hedgehog thought stuff was so great that he came very close to grabbing some of them. They look great in person. Bright colors, translucence, a lot of things I love. Absolutely. And I'll put a link to Hedgehog's coverage, actually. There was some on day one. I'll take a look if there's anything of Dragonor, and I'll make sure that we link to that too. Check that out. All right. Moving on. If you can't tell, I am moving. You saw in the thumbnail, back to the coverage by toynewsi.com. Not much to report here, other than we're getting Twisted Sister. Super 7's doing Twisted Sister. No word yet on if we're talking ultimates or reaction, but if you're paying attention to Super 7's modus operandi, usually we'll see a reaction figure. They'll put it out there, likely looking at the numbers and the interest, and then those magically end up as ultimates. That's what happened with Notorious B.I.G. That's what happened with who am I thinking recently? Cliff Burton, right? So that seems to be a way of doing things. So if this is a reaction, just pause, because an ultimates likely will be coming. If you want to help ensure that that happens, by the reaction, they'll make an ultimates. Twisted Sister, I introduced to my kid when he was 8. He had that, that 2 music videos on heavy rotation in the car because he loved the songs and loved the audacity of the character of the lead singer of Twisted Sister, who I'm blanking on right now. If y'all could help me out, I appreciate it. But yeah, if you're not familiar with Twisted Sister, Google it, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Captured an 8-year-old's brain in the 21st century. He's now 10, by the way. Still into it. Doesn't watch it as regularly. But we're moving on. All right. From Twisted Sister to Street Humans. Let's get into the 21st century a little bit. If you're not familiar with Street Humans, you might be familiar with one of the persons behind Street Humans, and that's Shartimus Prime. Someone who actually doesn't live too far from me, less than a couple of miles up here in the Bay. So he is a YouTuber, one of the most massive, toy personalities on YouTube. But he's also so into toys that he wants to be a part of what Toy Connections, Ken, has coined this toy renaissance, this new era where the toy fan has become the toy creator and is now creating things that are capturing a lot of our attention and potentially doing kind of a nudge to the big two, the Hasbros, the Mattels, right? So they developed this action figure line, and you'll sort of see this stuff. This stuff isn't new, right? But so this is at streethumans.net. They are prepping for a Kickstarter. I had thought that the Kickstarter happened and then it kind of maybe didn't work out, but actually found it, and it's sort of in draft mode. So that means maybe they pulled back, because I remember they were ramping up and he was talking about it, but maybe they decided to pause, get more work done until they were like super ready. By the way, when I said that he was close to me, he's here in Pacifica, which is not too far from where I'm at right now. I used to teach in Pacifica. So when we were talking, yeah, we were talking about some of his old teachers, some old colleagues of mine that I knew in the district. That said, this is still in progress. This is in sort of draft mode. And if you try and find it right now, and I'll put again that link when the links go up, you can see what they're planning on sort of showing, how they're planning on presenting it, and you can give them feedback. There's sort of a form that'll be on here to tell them like, hey, you know, if you're going to launch this, consider this. But just to give you a sense of what these figures look like, you see the articulation, right? And what they're meant to do is work with one of his favorite lines, which is Hasbro's Marvel Legends. So what they showed at PowerCon, I just wanted to show like some of these updates. First off, yeah, I couldn't resist looking at these again. It's anthropomorphic animals. I know I've got to type, and I get it. Eventually, we're all going to have some fatigue. But this line is definitely doing a little bit more of the real world thing versus the fantasy stuff that I tend to kind of gravitate towards, right? This is like here, 2023, in some city in the United States of America, folks are coming from outer space, right? Some other worlds, and waging an ongoing battle here on Earth disguised as human beings. I think that's generally the story. I just want to point out, like, man, look at the deco that's going on here. And clearly they're trying to catch a vibe of sort of like, you know, maybe like modern sort of like streetwear, etc. So, you know, to give you a sense of what these folks look like and why I'm also excited, because as a person of color myself, I appreciate it when we see figures of color, right? When people are making conscious decisions to try and represent different human beings in plastic form, because growing up as a kid, that wasn't always the case. Still waiting on my Pinoy action figure, folks. Actually, take that back. NECA did it, I know, with Kino, but you know, that's an 80s one. Let's move up. So these guys are doing more current contemporary dudes that I could probably see right here in the Bay, chilling like, you know, in the park, with a hoodie. The hoodie is kind of Bay Area uniform. We write songs about it. So what's really cool about these is that, as you can see, this is all the same figure, right? And I think they wanted to kind of show off newer where they're at. All of these, the stuff kind of come on and off. You can switch out the arms to get the full, you know, clothed look, all the multiple different heads. So clearly folks behind Street Humans are like looking at figures and just creating something that they want to see. And I appreciate it. So look out for it. I'll admit it's not necessarily my aesthetics, because again, I've got like more like fantasy thing going on. This is more grounded in our reality, but the stuff is really cool. And I always want to check out new figures because I'm always curious about how folks are doing these new toys and how they're handling engineering, right? And what innovations they're doing. So I'm really curious to see how these turn out. Look at these poses, right? These aren't things that all our figures can do. I'm going to go back real quick. Oops. To this, that, man, you know, sorry. I couldn't get this Battle Armor Masterverse He-Man to do that if I wanted to without breaking him. So always kind of cool to see a brand new company stepping things up a little bit. All right, let's check in real quick with the chat, see where we're at. Ooh, I'm behind. All right. Monsters. Yeah, folks are feeling the monsters. Absolutely, right? It's always kind of cool to see something new, a new concept. Monstrous humans, but chilling in 2023 gear. I dig it. Pains is saying the articulation looks odd to me on these. It's like a crutch and a diaphragm. A crotch and a diaphragm, maybe. A crunch and a diaphragm. Not sure. But yeah, you know, we'll see, right? But I think, again, it's another party coming into the conversation. And obviously, being a reviewer, himself, Shardamus has handled a lot of different figures, and I know his engineering team, and I'm sorry I keep naming Shardamus because that's the name that's sticking out to me. I know there's a whole team behind him, but like, you know, they've studied other figures and have critiqued other figures, so I'm sure they're trying their best to kind of step up the game. Now, let's talk about design real quick, because Quip has some thoughts. Quip says they're cool, but they're sort of dressed like background dancers for Christina Aguilera circa 2001. Sorry, that's my Christina Aguilera holding my mic. I hear you. And yeah, I'll just leave it there. Yeah, I get it. Fashion, it's a whole thing. All right, what else do we got going on? I'm with you on the fantasy, J Mac. That's me, man. I see you've got a roboto in your thumbnail, so like that's totally me. Give me robots in these weird environments where you can actually see other planets in the sky. I hear you. And that's how I've gravitated in my modern collecting. It hasn't always been the case, but like, yo, folks are into that and mixing fantasy with the street, with real world. So I'm here for it. Yeah. I'm here to support it. I might not buy, but Oz, thank you so much for coming through. Quick shout out to Oz, who actually was the first person to invite me to jump on his channel, even though somebody else scheduled me before. Without Oz, I wouldn't be doing this really in the way that I am right now. So thank you, Oz. All right. Oh, a crunch and a diaphragm. Thank you so much, Aaron, for clarifying. Interesting. The Real Robo Tribe. I know this guy. I wish there was a more obviously Anglo dude, so that the default isn't just the thugs. Sorry, bro. I wish there was a more obviously Anglo dude, so not default to thugs as the dudes with righteous tans or darker. So if I'm teasing that out, you're like, man, because they're all folks of color, and then they're all kind of, you're saying thugs. I hear you, but I will also challenge that maybe like, why do we assume they're thugs, right? They might have a particular style of dress, and I know all sorts of folks who might be wearing that white sort of tank top, but maybe it's our perception and our assumption. And I challenge folks to look up the word thug. That's a racially charged word, but I hear the point. It's out there. Let's have a conversation. What's up, Rolando Flores? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Anybody else that new that dropped in? Fig Bunker, what's up? Not Fig Bunker, but what's up, man? Good to see you. I need to get you on one of these two, and let's talk figures. And then, am I missing anything? Thank you so much, folks. And yes, Quip is clarifying. I'm not yucking. I'm way into backup dancers for Christina Aguilera circa 2001. No, but they're a fun concept. I hope people support them. Always pulling for the little guy, 100%. Yeah. And would I, Oz? Would I? And speaking moistly, would like to point out that even though I did show particular folks, is that there is a white biker dude in that line. And Quip, you know, here's what you're saying. And you're pointing out, I think, Shardamus words. I don't know if he said that or not, but they did. They like mixed it up a little bit, and I didn't show all of them. Thank you for clarifying. Moistly, it's getting moist in here. And I'll say the word moist again, because I know people like the word moist. And yeah, 100%. Absolutely happy for Shardamus realizing a dream. Repping Pacifica. Cool. Man, I would love it. Let's do it. Let's go. All right. Speaking of let's go. Let's talk premium DNA, and I'll do this super quick. If you were like around in the 90s, you noticed there was a shift, right? We went from G.I. Joe to Masters of the Universe. And yes, they had their, you know, bright energy or whatever, but then things just went wacky. People started embracing like the abstraction of figures, of real sort of heavy, cartoony, Exaggerated features influence, I think, or I don't know which influence which, but there's a sort of vibe of even new school graffiti started going in that direction. And we saw tattooing do the same direction of really exaggerated characters. And for whatever reason, that also found its way into cartoons, likely because there's a lot of crossover between the artists. And we got stuff like Earthworm Jim here seen in the background with the giant eyes, right? That's what I'm talking about. We got some Madball stuff going on. But Premium DNA did show off some new things. The Battletoads were there. These aren't cheap figures. I know people like to point that out to me all the time. But just case in point, if you take a look at the I was going to say the anatomy, which is true. That's what it is. But man, this is some exaggerated anatomy. Right. And that's kind of that is the aesthetic, right? That's a style, like giant feet, giant hands, not to mention, obviously, an anthropomorphic animal. Obviously, they're catching a vibe. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were the thing. So they're like, well, what if we had 4 frog toads? Sure. And instead of ninjas, what if they did battle? Sure. But hey, Premium DNA is here to bring back that sort of 90s nostalgia. They're giving us skeletons from that line. They're giving us wrestler Viking pigs. I'll confess, I wasn't a huge Battletoads fan. My big thing was the video game, which was fun, but then not fun because it got kind of hard. Anyway, Battletoads were cool. I wanted to show some of the villains because there's this big, giant, beefy guy, and I love the alt heads on this one in particular. Really cool stuff. Premium DNA is clearly man, yeah, let's see, show people what we can do in this action figure game. Cool stuff. And then of course Earthworm Jim, which I was much more familiar with, also from the video game. Cool Sega Genesis joint with that worm in this sort of buff human looking body, but that worm came out and it was just a worm. Some cool animations, try to do some stuff with 2D animation put into sprites. Wacky characters. It's Looney Tunes did a bunch of insert drug here. But yeah, and that's what you got with Earthworm Jim. Just cool stuff. What's really challenging with figures like this, though, of course, is that the body types are all over the place. So what I like to geek out about and sort of wonder is the engineering that needs to happen for each and every figure. There's some reuse you can do, but this dog is not the same as this guy or this body or this body. Sure, you can probably get a couple of reuses out, but so I always wondered about that in the 90s too. But anyway, just wanted to do that, and let's move on. I'm trying to keep things fast, short. Got some birthday things to do, and I'm looking at that clock. So let's keep moving. Back to GDL's coverage, geekdadlife.com. It's a thing. You all should check it out. They've got coverage of Gravestone Guardians. Always love bright colors, and I love the notion of creating new IP. Folks know I love AWOC. They also know that AWOC is very much something that pulls from some of the things that we're familiar with. I look at Gravestone Guardians and it's the same thing. There are some things that they're pulling from, but I think there's an innovation, right? Sure, some people have pointed out, yeah, this is very what is it called? It's a Monster High, but it doesn't have the sort of exaggerated giant heads. These feel very more chasing the superhero vibe to me, which I really dig. The ones that they showed are just sort of proof of concept, I believe. They're I heard on GDL, they talked about these on the show, that the ones that they're selling here were prototypes, right? Super limited edition, but they're going to go into production, I think is the goal on these. Right now we're looking at pretty simple in terms of articulation, so I see that. But to me it's more about hey, we are creating a whole new sort of world for folks to consider. And all these characters, if you haven't checked it out. They look like they're using, right, she, her pronouns. They look female. They're feminine, real feminine looking, with the hair, the rooted hair. And like, you know, even AWOC I was just mentioning, they mentioned this on GDL, like it's going to take 3 waves, 4 waves, 3 waves. Yeah, 3 waves of a bunch of dudes. And then the 4th wave is going to finally come with the female characters. There are some awesome female characters in the lore, but they weren't in wave 1. They weren't in wave 2. They weren't in wave 3. So if your stuff is shattered right now, realizing that I'm sort of not shilling for AWOC, you know, it's just a fair critique. There's a sense of what the body is. I don't know what the story is. I haven't done my research. I just want to share that this was stuff that came out that we didn't get to cover on Saturday morning. So check it out. New thing on the way, just going to grow, get bigger, and we're going to see more. All right, folks, I see you in the chat, but I also want to move. Oh, actually, the people who created Monster High created these with the 80s. Thank you. The 80s Princess of Power / Golden Girls vibe. Again, that sort of superhero vibe, a little bit more on the realistic than, say, the Monster High, like more, I guess, like more fashion oriented kind of. There's a story within Monster High, but it's something new that has a nostalgic vibe without being another old toy line, 100%. And that goes back to what I'm saying about AWOC, right? Something new property, has some nostalgic vibes, but brand new 2023. Digging it. And they did say that they're actually going to do both, that they're going to do rooted hair, but I kind of dig the mix of plastic and rooted. I do too, because of the way that you can achieve different things and different looks depending on which technique you use. So Nolan, I'm so sorry. I admittedly don't know what scale they're in. And yeah, folks are agreeing with Allison. Allison says, I bet Garrett, who developed these, would love to do an interview at some point. I'm sure they would. And so, Allison, how about we bring them on and do an interview? And how about we maybe do that on your channel? Just a thought. We'll talk later. Eldor. Yeah, Blythe dolls had a similar deformed aesthetic. You mean by like the larger heads? Is that what I'm in the larger eyes? Yeah. All right, moving on. Gravestone Guardians. Cool name too. And logo. All right, Boss Fight Studio. If you know anything about Boss Fight Studios, Epic Hacks line. Really, really cool figures. And if you're wondering like, oh yeah, they're only 30, just to be clear, that's because we're talking like 4-inch scale. They're really cool. They're actually very articulated. And so just, you know, they're doing things in that scale that I honestly didn't think could be done, especially with like such skinny limbs. They're very cool. However, if you're a 112 collector, you're kind of like, you know, I can't do it. It's not something I'm doing right now. But man, if only they would take that sculpting and maybe like jack it up to say 112. PowerCon, they said, yep, 6-inch epic blanks. So they're starting off with these blank bodies. I don't know where they're gonna go with the hacks line, if they're actually gonna scale up some of the epic hacks character, the Vitruvian hack stuff. I don't know, but they are doing these blanks that are actually intended to be working with Marvel Legends, right? So if you're a customizer and you're looking for an alt body to make some characters that for whatever reason Hasbro's either taking too long on, or they did a version that you didn't like, or they're not gonna touch, then try your hand at customizing. They look really good as far as like just the basic sort of like articulation and engineering scheme. You got double jointed elbows. They look pinless, or maybe not. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe not. Double jointed knees. There's a swivel here, right, to the inset. I don't know if you can tell. So cool looking stuff. We'll see if that's your bag. If you're like looking to do some customizing, this could be an option for you. We shall see. But again, I don't know if they're going to do their characters, their Vitruvian Hacks characters, or there are these that I've been eyeing for a long time. I know Oz had this moment one time when we were talking. He's like, man, have you seen these? And then I was like, yeah, but they're like in 4" and like, oh man, imagine if they did these sculpts in 112. These things are awesome. Like, look at these, man, this Reaper, right? This is their Court of the Dead line. This guy, for whatever reason, he's got that extra arm. It just looks so cool. Like, you look at these characters, they look great. And again, these are smaller figs. So those are cool, but you're like, 112 or 110. I love them, but they're not going to fit with my mythic legions. They're not going to be able to like really hang out with my, storm collectibles, kind of on the bigger side. But yeah, they said, Boss Fight said, okay, no, we hear you. Guess what? We're doing 112, 6-inch figures. These look amazing. And as you can see from, if you're sort of quick to look at what I was showing earlier, they are going to do some of those designs just in 112, which like is awesome, which unfortunately or fortunately means I'm going to be buying something else potentially. Not all of them, but I'm going to have to try out this figure, right? And I'm going to have to see what that body's like, right? How does it move? Oops, you can't see her head, right? I'm going to want to see that. I'm going to want to play with that. I'm going to want to test that out and see what it's all about. So I'm excited that they brought that to PowerCon. Just more cool stuff on the horizon. Again, just a quick look at some of these details, and I will have that link again at that QR code and at bit.ly/bricksomethingnews. And I'll put that info up for you to access. All right, let's move on. Okay, now we're getting closer to some of the stuff, the stuff people call me a weirdo for, like liking these things that like, wait, that wasn't in a cartoon. I don't know what that is. And that reminds me of Street Sharks. So why didn't they just do Street Sharks? I get it. You want the old toys that you had as a kid, but hopefully you'll be open to the possibility that, hey, what if we could get some new stuff? This is from their, what's it called? Fighters of the Abyss, or Abyss Fighters, I think is what they're called. Yep. Abyss Force. Force Squad. It's all the same. Abyss Force. So we've seen these already up for pre-order. So they just brought these out there. Sorry. They just brought these out there for people to look at a little bit more closely. Cool stuff. Oops. Is that right? No, there you go. I appreciate what's going on, Equip. I'm curious to hear what you think about their fashion. What are we talking? Christina Aguilera from 2008, maybe 2009, although I think she was kind of on her way out. No, you captured this perfectly. That's what these are. This is Guy Ritchie's Avenue of Aquatic Predators. Absolutely. That's exactly what this is. Guy Ritchie doing Street Sharks, 100%. Thanos missed these. Yeah, so part of the reason I said this was more in my wheelhouse, because if you know about the things that I've been buying, whether it's, this kind of thing or this kind of thing, these are things that aren't at Target. These are things at stores like, say, Shozy Store or 5K Toys. And 5K had a table that had all of the different things that they sell, and that's what we're looking at now. So again, PowerCon, man, it's like ground zero for all these like smaller toy companies to show off their stuff. What's going on, Boomstick? Thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate the birthday greetings, and so happy you are here to check this out. Yep. Exactly. All right. Cobb is here, who helped me on Saturday. Good to see you. Let's see one more. I think, is that it for the Abyss Force? No, that's not it. So what else was new over there at PowerCon was they revealed some new prototypes, right? In figures in progress to add to the Abyss Force. Those sharks need people to get forceful with. So we've got Fury Toys showing us their, oh God, what is this thing called? It's at the bottom of the sea. Got the little light hanging thingies. Made one out of Lego, and I'm blanking. Anglerfish? Is that right? Am I making that up? My oldest is getting mad at me. But yeah, these things are gonna go battle with those street sharks and probably mess up their cool plaid pants. Very cool stuff. Let's take a look. This isn't the only one. They also showed off this guy, right? Swordfish. So cool. See, these guys, because they're not wearing Guy Ritchie pants, these guys I can grab. These guys will work perfectly going up against this, you know, sort of like feudal martial arts tiger and this dude, blonde buff dude in battle armor, barbarian guy, and, you know, Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers as a dwarf. So I'm looking at these, and those might be something I grab. But that was Fury Toys. In addition, Memory Toys, another brand carried on sites like 5K, these imports. They showed off their take on the ever-present fantasy staple of the ogres. And so there's a red ogre, orc. Yeah, there's a bunch of these characters coming out by different companies. So this is their take. Just want to throw that out there. Memory Toys, if you're not familiar, are the same folks who gave us this and this. Memory Toys, Fury Bear, and Panda. So yes, I'm all up on those 5K, Bombus B, Rando imports, because again, I just love new stuff, weird stuff, different stuff that might not be on a retail shelf. Ooh, I just caught that Fury Bear's right here. All right, moving on. Something maybe more standard fare. Yesterday, the third day, the final day of PowerCon, really weird. Scheduling wise, I don't quite get it. But usually the final day, right, folks are kind of like ready to leave the con. That's when they did Mondo's panel. So Mondo's panel actually was hosted and emceed by Jay Gladfelter of Geek Dad Life. These are photos that I believe were originally posted by Colleen from Geek Dad Life. And if you know anything about, I'm playing Mr. Allen's, Mr. Allen in the World of Toys channel. He does a lot of that in addition to stuff on his channel where he plays music and interviews you and sings, writes a song for you impromptu on his piano or on his accordion, sometimes guitar. Out of Italy. He also does these things where he'll take stills and just do a 30-second video and like 11,000 people watch it. So he grabbed Colleen's stills. I think we're still waiting for the high-res images of this stuff. But I just want to throw out there, this is Mondo's panel. And they revealed a bunch of stuff. And like, I'm just going to sort of show you images and tell you briefly the things that stood out to me. The things that stood out to me, if you're following the Mondo line, these are the 1/6 figures. They're doing an Orko. Underneath Orko's soft goods robe will be a body, like a full Orko body. There is an Orko face, and you can kind of see that in the concept art here. Apparently, that will be a part of this figure, which is going to be a first in figure form. So there's also the sort of like ties between the different types of Orkos that we've seen across different properties, whether it's Filmation or 2000X or even later Motu Classics. So this is like the other Mondo Master of the Universe stuff is really trying to like capture some of the best concepts that we have of these characters and basically Mondoify them. So, you know, they went through this. They're doing a Disco Skeletor. If that's your kind of thing, it's a pretty cool, funky, like looking colorway that came out in the 2000X line, dubbed Disco Skeletor. Again, 1/6 goodness, gigantic, couple $100. If you can swing it and that's what you're collecting, great. I am incredibly excited for their Evelyn because, as I've said before, and I think we paused quite a bit awkwardly on it on Saturday on the coverage of She-Ra. Man, that She-Ra figure, the way Mondo handled that woman character was awesome, right? And I'm waiting to see the likeness, how they're going to design the look of Evelyn. Because every time a different artist takes on these characters, they are designing what this being looks like. And I'm always sort of curious because their sculptors are top notch and the way they execute has consistently been awesome. So just concept art, We haven't seen any figures, right? They're doing vehicles. So there's so much more. There's going to be better pictures of these things out there. I just wanted to say, hey, day 3 happened. They dropped a bunch of cool stuff. Let's move on. Some of the quote unquote cool stuff in that panel, again, hosted by Geek Dad Live's Jay Gladfelter. I believe these are photos by Colleen Gladfelter. Does she use Gladfelter? My bad if she doesn't. They're doing Spider-Man, right? They've been doing, like, we've seen what they've been doing, but these are their new Marvel characters. We're going to see a animated Spider-Man. If you're a fan of that cartoon in the, I want to say it started in the late 80s and continued in the 90s. I might be wrong on that. I was a Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends kid. And then before that, the older stuff. But I think this is the thing that I'm kind of intrigued by. This is definitely from the animated series. I tend to go more Secret Wars comic book. I said this yesterday elsewhere, that one of my favorite things coming out of Secret Wars was this costume. And then they quickly reversed, took it away, but whatever. So I'm excited to see how Mondo handles this, what the sculpt is like, what all the accessories are going to be. And then, of course, they did some X-Men classic sort of Jim Lee look that also, I believe, I want to say, did this transfer over to the 90s cartoon, or was that just the leather jacket? I don't know. You're probably yelling at me in the chat, but I'm also conscious of time and trying to keep it moving. We got Rogue with her big hair, very big hair, right? Doing some, I'm sure, some mighty hairography with that look. Folks love this look, and I get it. It's cool. I tend to go maybe about 10, 15 years earlier, but this was great stuff, and I'm happy they're going to make it. You see this head down here, which is totally X-Men Evolution, which is a cartoon that I loved. But some cool Marvel stuff coming out, including, boom, 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 you can see it in the teaser, Juggernaut. Again, not the best shots, I know, but this Juggernaut is going to be massive, and I believe it looks to me like a vinyl rotocast figure, much like the Man-Thing. Not very, not highly articulated, but just a beef of a sculpture, and it's Mondo, so you know that it's going to be gorgeous, like that Man-Thing. Yeah, absolutely, a chunky boy. So there's going to be all sorts of stuff. People are filling in the chat with some of the details. Thank you so much for naming that. Like K-Dog's like, yo, you didn't even mention Scareglow. And I didn't mention his cool horse that's coming. Mea culpa, perdón, right? My bad. Paciencia. But yeah, we're moving. So on that note, all sorts of cool Marvel stuff coming. There was this, I don't know if you follow the comics, there was a moment where Colossus gets a hold of that crystal and becomes a Juggernaut. Really cool looking. It's going to be the variant for that vinyl figure, and it's not just like a repaint, right? You got to sculpt in those metal armor lines. So yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one. Ever wonder what happens? Never mind. Should move on. Mondo also revealed that their Phantasm figure, right? This, I will go on record and say that I still think this is one of the best. I don't know if it's the best, but one of the best. My probably top 3 versions of Batman in movie form. I love Mask of the Phantasm. I was genuinely surprised as a youngish person watching this and sort of seeing the reveal. It was really cool. Like, clearly the folks who wrote it understood Bruce Wayne, understood sort of like some of the struggles that he had to go through, and knew how to create some new characters and write those characters in ways that had depth, intriguing, and created some really unique problems for our hero. So I'll leave it at that, because I know it's old, but if you've never seen it, I don't want to spoil this for you, because it's a really good story. So there's that, I don't know if you just saw, is it a Poison Ivy? I don't know, was it? All right, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead, because again, I want you to watch it, Mask of the Phantasm. All right, folks. Yes, thank you, Robo Tribe. Yes, I think it's top 3. It absolutely. Whoa. The thing is, I know your mother, so that tracks. Oh my God, I'm jealous of you, and I'm excited for you. Go watch it. Shorten that list. It's great. And yes, for the record, I said this on Geek Dad Life on the chat the other day. Unlike Dole, I would straight up say that X-Men Evolution is better than the 90s X-Men cartoon. Come at me. All right. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, appreciate the birthday wishes. Thank you for joining us for the rest of this, and watch Mask of the Phantasm, folks. It's fabulous. Okay. Again, I am not paid by 5K Toys. I've never received anything from 5K Toys that I did not spend way too much of my money on. But 5K Toys is a great place to sort of look at these. I just wanted to share some offbeat things that weren't necessarily a PowerCon before we wrap up today. This is from Cosmic Creations. Again, the names, we'll talk about that another time. There's a lot of cool company names. There's a lot of crossover between sculptors, sometimes factories. So, but this is Cosmic Creations, 112 figures. They're calling this Portrait of Jiang-Hu, Bad Guys. So, if you haven't figured it out, I'm a bit of a sucker for some old school martial arts characters, whether they're from, Chinese influence, Japanese influence. Give me some Indonesian, that would be great. Some Thai, but we don't really see a whole lot of those enough. Shout out to Scott. But like, these look great and mix in with that sort of fantasy vibe, right? Again, that I'm chasing on my shelf. So if you take a look at some of these figures, such cool stuff. We've got the soft goods that are clearly on point. I don't know if you can tell, but these are sort of actual ties that go around, link that armor, just like the actual character would if they were in real life, right? I love the sort of tailoring on this cowl that all fits underneath this hat. That armor looks fantastic, and then you pull that armor away and you get this cool looking creepy zombie. Again, I just want people to look a little bit beyond what's maybe available over at your Target or your Walmart, and just realize like there's a whole world of toys out there. I know that it sometimes feels inaccessible, expensive. I hear you, but just look at it, check it out, and maybe, I don't know. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's maybe if you're into this style of figure, I don't know. Maybe we can push some of these other manufacturers to step their game up a little bit and try some of this stuff out. I don't know. Just as a thought. Or if you can swing it, get a dope looking character. This is cool. This is definitely one that I'm going to get, this line. Don't know that I'm going to get all of them. We will see. But I'm just really liking how this uniform sits on this person's body. But I'm only going to show 2 today. I want to show you this character. Man. Again, very similar vibe. I'm assuming they're like the same crew. Lots of cool armor pieces, lots of great paint details. Look at that face, right? I'm assuming it's a she. She looks amazing. And again, I like diversity on my shelf, and a diversity in, clothing, cultural influence, ethnicity, race, like male, female, across the spectrum. It just makes for a much more interesting shelf for me. And I love the fact that in 2023, like, you can find these things. These are actual things that you can get. All right. So again, this is available at 5K Toys for pre-order. If you're wondering, well, how much are they? Look at the stuff, man. Look at the texture on that soft goods. Look at this armor, the paint, all these little details. Full price, $78. If for that first figure that I showed you, this figure is $79.99. They ship out of California, like when they finally get here to the States. I want to say Hawthorne, maybe Inglewood. But they come pretty quick. Like, so once they're available, man, they move. And if you're, again, trust me, I don't get a deal on 5K, but if you buy from 5K regularly, they have a point system, reward system. And just this year alone, I've basically got $55 off of figures from buying figures over and over again. I checked the other day, it was about 55 that I use in points, redeemed in points. So yeah, I got, for example, this guy and some Zezrays, and just sort of saved up those points to buy some other stuff. Okay, got two more things. Oh no, I don't got two more things. I got one more thing, and then we're gone. Then we're out. Talk a bit about the channel. Because I don't get any kickback from 5K, I do want to point out that you can get them from other sites, and I'll post this in the links too from Toys Wonderland. It is an option. It does end up being a couple bucks cheaper, and they show you how much they ship for. They'll ship. It'll take a little longer, but if you want to save some money, $8, and you can get this like basically $9 cheaper than you would over at 5K. Just, you know, options, because again, 5K isn't necessarily hooking me up or anything. All right, we'll close with this, because Thanos, Cobb, and I talked on Saturday, and we didn't get the full table. They didn't put everything out on the table yet over on the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. And I'll just show this, and again, you will have access to the video, and you can take a look at this yourself. The video itself, they have some great coverage, and you know, Jay gets to talk with Jason a little bit about what's going on. I am so happy that I'm hearing more and more outlets like GDL, who kind of traditionally tend to skew more to the lines that are like based in 80s and 90s nostalgia, which is great. I totally get it. But there has been this steady diet of indie toy makers who have been creating their own toy lines with their own stories, you know, whether it's Four Horsemen with Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, AWOC, Armies of Ashmore, who, again, apologies because we're not covering today, but I will, I swear. So people are doing it. And so I'm more and more seeing this being covered, and I appreciate it. Jay, please check this out. Dole, please check this out. Talk it up, because it deserves to be put out there. These are great figures, great stories made by great people. So Jason Bienvenue's creation, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, just wanted to name that these characters right here in the sort of like gladiator makeup, that's coming 2 waves from now. Oh, 1 wave from now, gladiator, the gladiator, this figure, and this figure were all in that gladiator scene in issues end of 3 and beginning of issue 4 of the comic book. Issue 5, spoiler alert, we see Kali, the main antagonist here, Hulk out basically. And if you've been following my videos with Highly Articulated on my channel and on his channel, AWOC Talking Monkey Business, we've been talking deep about the lore, and you'll know that Kali is actually going through some kind of medical thing, some scientific transformations where he slides from being ape-like to beast-like to human-like, and we don't totally know what's going on. But what ends up happening in issue 5, again, spoiler, but you know, it's out there, he hulks out. That's what this is. So brand new buck, right? These are all kind of on the same figure buck. This is brand new. Same buck as this one, the King Hannibal. Again, a new reveal. These are not coming until I think wave 6. You'll see Pale, for whatever reason, wearing armor very similar to Kali's. What's going on? They call that his necro armor. And then this new lizard guy who they revealed not too long ago at a different con, completely different, unique buck. Again, I don't know the story. I'm going to have to ask Jason when we interview him soon. Where are the women? Because there are women figures, and they're actually going to be released before King Hannibal, before the lizard, before this necro one, before this beastly Kali. But I don't know why they're not here on display. Might be a production issue. Who knows? So there you go. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. As everybody here knows, I love me some AWOC. So yeah. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave this up while I quickly give you a rundown of what's gonna be happening on the channel as I move into my second year of brick something. Yeah, that's what's up. We'll spread it. So as I pointed out earlier, I'm going to try and do these a little bit more regularly. I think this will be the vehicle for me to talk about some just cool things that I've been seeing over the week. You know, some of you are probably sick of seeing me post stuff on Discord. Maybe this is my outlet and I don't have to bombard the Discord so much with the random cool things that I've been seeing. So, I'm going to be doing these regularly, and as I said earlier, it's going to be my way of creating a space to bring other people on pretty easily, like to hang out with me, hopefully get a variety, some new faces that we are not seeing enough of here on the ToyTube thing. Just, you know, people you haven't heard of, people you don't, you know, maybe never been exposed to. So just friends I made along the way. So that's the plan. We'll do some needless ephemeral we saw. I want to show more custom stuff too, like talk about that a little, some toy photography, just like things we're geeking out about, and give it a little bit of a shine and attention here on the Brick Something channel for what that's worth. So stay tuned. If you're interested in joining me someday, please hit me up. Instagram at brick.something. It'll also be in the description and on the channel. You can always email me. I'll check it, I swear. bricksomething@gmail.com, or leave a comment on the channel. But I'll probably be hitting you up as well. If there's ever anything you want me to cover in a needless ephemeral we saw or the news, just send that message and I'll check it out. In addition, I am actually really interested in giving some stuff away to sort of celebrate, right? So I'm sitting on a couple of things, and I'm going to show you the least sexy of them because I know people hate Funko Pops. But I don't know. I know people love Masters of the Universe, and I do too. And I think these are really cute. And I'd love to give these away to someone who would want them. I'm not going to give them away to people who are like, you know, like, I hate Funko Pops. But like if you want them. So I'll be doing a couple giveaways soon, and I'll talk more about how to do them. But if this isn't your steez, maybe a 40th anniversary Masterverse box set from the SCCC a little bit ago, the SCCC exclusive. I got one of those to give away. I've got a LJN D&D box set to give away. And I've got some really big things that I'm mulling over potentially giving away, but all to kind of just sort of celebrate and maybe get, you know, whatever, give back a little bit, obviously, to maybe get people who want to just join and subscribe for to get some free stuff. You know the deal. So I do definitely want to do that a little bit more. All right. So AWOC Talk is coming. Working on that issue 3 to 4 episode where Highly Articulated and I went on and on and on, and being able to cut that up into a decent narrative that's interesting to watch is a little bit challenging and honestly time consuming. So I'm working on it. We'll be doing monkey business. All the AWOC Talk stuff is still going to happen. I'm still going to be doing some unboxing. Pointed out earlier, I've got a motherboard to unbox. I've got a crap ton of Cosmic Legions to unbox. I've got, they're out of their box, but I haven't talked about the Fury Bears yet. All sorts of stuff, you know, even Battle Armor He-Man Masterverse I haven't talked about yet with this cool Hordak MX head. I don't know, some Golden Axe, or maybe some, you know, Blade Master Wang that I was holding up earlier. This figure's amazing. I'd love to talk to you about it. You know, little like not Resident Evil, disgusting, gross, but amazingly articulated and sculpted in design. Liquors. I don't know if martial arts is your bag. Maybe some dope martial artists to talk about, brand new toy lines that I know a lot of folks have talked about. I'd love to kind of give you my response and just sort of show you my awesome, like, I love posing these sort of gung fu action figures. So I've got stuff like that going on too. So going to try my best to be as productive as possible here on the Brick Something channel. You'll see me continue to jump on Mega J's, on Oz's, on Pains when they'll have me, of course, and other folks on Highly Articulated. So, yeah. All right, folks, but that's really all I have. Thank you so much for celebrating today as DJ 5000. Thank you for showing up. As pointed out, it is my birthday and the birthday of the channel. So I'm celebrating. I'm going to go hang out with some folks. And Punk with Toys dropped in. That new buck looked amazing in person. Tell you what, I'm about to hang up. And when I hang up and log off, go over to Punk with Toys. He's about to go and do his regular Monday night thing he might have started just now. So, all right, folks, I want to thank you all so much for jumping in. Hey, Ray. Thank you, Ray Ken. Thank you so much for jumping in, and happy birthday to you. His birthday was yesterday in the Philippines. All right, folks. That is truly it for today. I really appreciate you all. As I've said before, you all have been super instrumental in getting Brick Something to kind of grow and become this thing. A labor of art. I've had fun creating music for this channel, doing all the graphics for this channel, the little video clips. Like, to me, it's just been an awesome outlet. It's been a cool space to, like, you know, again, show off the art, but also, you know, just to hang out with people and just make new friends. Like the folks that are here today, I had a blast with them on other people's channels, either on the streams or just in the chat, right? Talking about the stuff that we love, remembering what happened in the past, but also sort of enjoying all the new things that we're getting now. So appreciate you all. That's really like it. I say that all the time, but seriously, I appreciate you all. I'm trying my best to continually practice gratitude, because it's like one of the things that we have in this life, right? To find joy in, to spread joy and let people know that they're loved, they're appreciated, all that stuff. Here, I don't know, it's my birthday, I'm getting sentimental. But as I like to end all my videos and in my little like chat things, folks, peace, power, I appreciate those things. Let's see if we can achieve them. All right. Thank you so much. Keep watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Thanks, folks.